Hello, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We picked out quite the TBR for May. I did not do a very good job of reading my TBR in April. I did not do a very good job of reading my TBR in March. I am determined to do better. These are the books. Minus one, I still have, I think, just one more that's not in, but I have it on audio. Let's go over real quick what some of these. These are the middle grade. What we did not pick out in my, I knew that was going to happen. What we did not pick out in my TBR video was a classic. And what I want to do is Mary Poppins. And the reason is I just finished, I always have a hard time with the title, The Nanny's Handbook to Managing Magic and Difficult Dukes. I really thought it was cute. It was a little bit annoying on how many times she mentioned the handbook, but you know, it's in the title and it looks like it's going to be part of a series. I decided I wanted to read Mary Poppins, but I don't think we're going to do that in this video. I don't think I'm going to read my physical TBR middle grade books, so it might be, I might pick one of these. What I have, here's the issue. Here's what I don't know how to do. I have 15 books on audio right now from Libby. I have 15. That's not even counting Hoopla, where I do actually have more books that I probably won't get to. So I started Shadow of the Wind. I'm going to show you the other cover because I like that cover. When I first saw that, totally judging a book by its cover, I wanted to read it because I just love that. And I am enjoying this. I started it last night. I got to 2.5 hours and that was only 13%. I am now at about 4.5 hours and about 25%. And I'm really liking it. It's Danielle, but Daniel, we would say Daniel. It starts off, he's 10 years old and his father takes him to a special, it's not a store, a book warehouse where they store the last of certain books. And everybody who comes in, and it's a very exclusive group of people who manage this place. Danielle will be one of them when he's older. When they come in and they're introduced to the place and they can't tell anybody, he gets to pick out a book and he has to be the caretaker of that book for the rest of his life. And so he picks out the book called Shadow of the Wind by, I forget who the author's name is. And he reads it that night. He loves it. And he's intrigued by the author who doesn't seem to have any other books. He starts getting followed by this guy and he's just trying to find out more about the author, and it's been 9 years now. It starts in 1945, Barcelona, and it is now 1954. So he is aging and all this. So I'm really enjoying it. I can't sit and read with you because you are my audiobook and this is a big book. So we are definitely going to be doing this because that's due in, I want to say 3 days. I'm going to do a big chunk on that. I will show you my puzzle, where I'm starting and where I'm finished. I will probably just sit and do my puzzle while I'm doing that. I've been doing some chores all morning while I was listening to it. I did basically another 2 hours this morning getting chores done. Daisy Jones and the Six was my other half to read because I had it on audio, and I'm going to stick with that. So these are the two that I'm going to read for sure in this video. I don't know what I want to do next. I might do this. Okay, so I messed up. And it's something that I do all the time. I don't really know why. But the way I have my list of cards and what the card and the book that the card represents, these are Heart and Spade. But I always mix them up and read the wrong line. So I put myself in, I did my editing me to tell you about my mistake. And I do really want to read this, and I know it's a super quick read. So that's a possibility. Two Twisted Crowns is also going to be due fairly soon. That's a possibility. But I'm kind of leaning on this one, which I would probably physically read for the most part. I have it on Hoopla, and if you've been around on this channel, you know that my Hoopla just is not very good. Does not always work. This is I Lived on Butterfly Hill by Marjorie Agason. And it's about 11-year-old Celeste is a dreamer, a writer, a collector of words, but then a new whispered word trickles into her life. Subversives. Her beloved country of Chile has been taken over by a military dictatorship. And that's all I know, and that's all I want to know. And I'm looking forward to it. So this is the strongest contender. But honestly, I think we're going to wait and see. And I thought I would bring you along. I think if I do that, it will it'll entice me. It will entice me to get through my physical TBR. So yeah, let me show you the puzzle, and then I'm going to go sit down and do some puzzle and have some smoothie, because this is a lot of books I got to get through. Hello. It's been a week. Yeah, it has been a literal week since I last checked in with you, and I am sick. That's not actually why it's been a week. The reason it's been a week is because I ended up DNFing Shadow of the Wind. Now, I will be the first person to say it is beautifully written. It just had, okay, how do I even explain? I got to 60%. So I was fully into this book. I don't even remember the people's names or anything. So we have our main character receives a book. He's very interested in who the author is. And so he's going on this basically lifelong journey, because it starts, he's 10. When I finished, he was 20, I think 20, 21, something like that. Maybe even older. And he's still trying to find out more information about the author. He's had different infatuations and love interests, and he has a friendship with a guy that works in his father's store. And he also works in his father's store. And they go on different, I was going to say journeys, but that's not really the right word. They go on in search of the information about this author. My problem with it is that the people who are giving the information, and it's very much like, oh, they're gathering information, oh, they're going to go talk to this person. Then this person talks at length, and I'm talking about pages and pages in the book, and it felt like it went on forever in the audiobook, giving so much detail about this, that, or the other thing. I was getting to the point where I was so tired of the exposition parts that I was playing it on a super high speed just to get through it, and I was getting frustrated. I'm like, this is not a way to enjoy a book. So I do think it was beautifully written. It just was not the book for me. That put me into a slump. I did not even want to look at a book. I did not listen to one, pick one up, nothing. I was not even watching BookTube. So that went on for about 3 days. And I'm like, you know what? I had 5 different books on audio that were all going to be due in 8 days. By then, I think it was 6 days. I figured, you know what? Let me at least listen to one of them. And I picked the shortest one to play on audio. It was 3 hours at 1.0 speed. I played it at about 1.2 or 1.3. And that was Starfish by Lisa Phipps. I could not have picked a better book. It was so good. It's about a plus-size girl. She's in 6th grade. She's bullied. Her best friend, I think, is also plus-size, but not quite as big, and has just moved away. So now school is about to start, and our main character is kind of on her own. But she has a brand new neighbor, and they're becoming friends, but they're not going to go to the same school. And it's kind of about her dealing with the situation. I mean, her mom is just mean, and her father, she goes to therapy to talk about how she feels about everybody, the way they treat her and all that. And it is just absolutely amazing. I really recommend it. It's a super quick read. It worked out perfectly for me. I loved it. I then read, that was in the morning. That afternoon, I picked up A Long Way from Chicago by Richard Peck, and I devoured that. That was the next shortest one. It was a 4-hour book, which ended up being about 3 hours, I think, the way I was playing it. I mean, I was laughing out loud. I wish I had read that when my kids were little and had encouraged them to read it. It was super cute, super silly. It's about a brother and sister. It's historical. It's, I want to say it's the time between World War I and World War II. This brother and sister are from Chicago, and they spend a week with grandmother, who is in a very, very rural town. And the things that grandmother gets up to are just very interesting. And then it's like maybe a chapter or two in this year, and then it's the next year, and they go through these different events, and then it's the next year they go through a different, and they're getting older, they're learning more, And it was just, I mean, it was good. I can't wait to get the second book. And the second book was a Newbery winner, I believe. So I read the two of those, and I'm like, okay, great, I'm back. And I picked up, I have books hidden back here. So the next morning, those were both that night, that one day. The next morning, I picked up, finally, Daisy Jones and the Six. And I'm going to say, okay, everybody, I get it. I really, really get the hype. I am only on page 76, and I was listening to it and doing things, and I need to go back and check who's who and what's what, because what happened was I wanted to tell you that I'm reading Daisy Jones and the Six finally, and that how much that I'm enjoying it. I didn't want to get too far into the book, but then I got sick. It was kind of like a 24-hour, I honestly, I didn't know if I had allergies and that just was making me feel really sick, but I took 3 naps that day. So I'm going to go with sick. The next day I felt fine. That was yesterday. Today, I'm ready to take a nap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to familiarize myself with who's who, because it's now been a few days since I've read this, because again, I wanted to record and bring you with me and talk to you about it. All I can tell you about it right now, the first chapter is where we meet Daisy, and she's the daughter of a model and somebody important in Hollywood. I don't remember if he's like a director or a producer or something like that. I don't remember. She's left mostly on her own. I gotta get some tea. I have my echinacea tea, which is great for when I don't feel well. It's also full of vitamin C. The next chapter, so we meet Daisy. She's 14 years old. It says years, different years. So that was like from 65 to 70, I think, something like that. She's beginning to get into a lifestyle that is probably not the best. Then the next chapter is we meet Graham and Billy, who are starting a band, and they're getting different players together for different things, and it kind of goes back and forth a little bit. The part that I don't really remember is the band, like who's who and what's what. Like I couldn't even tell you what the manager's name is, or even when I was listening to it, I'm like, wait a minute, was that the manager? So I need to go back and check those things. It goes back and forth between Daisy and the band right now. And like I said, I'm only on page 76. I'm into it. I'm really enjoying it. It feels like it's beginning to come together and that Daisy Jones is going to meet the Six. So I'm going to refresh myself, but I'm actually going to take a nap, because you know how like you've been sick and then you feel good one day and you kind of start doing things, and then by the end of the day you feel sick again? That's sort of where I am right now. I felt fine this morning, and I have that end of day feel, but it's only noon. So I think I'm going to take a nap, and I will check in with you when I read some more. But before we go our separate ways, because I wanted to listen to a book, and I didn't want to get further in this without telling you about it, I picked another book. Now, I only have 3 days left of the audiobook in this, so we're going to get through this very quickly. But I only have 4 days left in this one, so this is why I picked this one, because I never knew what my other third book was going to be. Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. Oh, I didn't say this is Taylor Jenkins Reid in case, couldn't read it and didn't know. Two Twisted Crowns. I thought that I remembered One Dark Window. Apparently not. I've been going very slowly, taking my time, listening to it, paying attention, and I had the book with me. I was reading along for parts of it. I'm on page 56, and it's just the start of chapter 8. And there's a lot that happened that I have no memory of. And I read the first book in October. I'm going to, like I said, we're going to go our separate ways momentarily. It's going to be a while for me, but it'll be instant for you. But I will probably take a nap, because it's nice and quiet in my house right now. But then when I wake up, I'm going to dive into this. I was really enjoying it. I love the style of it. Let me show you a page, an early page, so you can see that it's kind of an interview style, because it basically is an interview or documentary. I still don't even remember which one it is. See, I need to go back and check. But I get the hype. I really do. So I'm really enjoying this. This one, I'm just confused a little bit, but I'm getting it slowly. So I have 3 days to read this and I have 4 days to read this, but I'm not really concerned. That's Daisy Jones and the Six will probably be done by tomorrow morning. I hear my voice is going. I think it's time to be done, and I will check in with you probably tomorrow. Okay, I think I understand who's who. Rod is the manager. The band members are Karen. Her name is Karen, but she goes by Karen because it's a joke, an inside joke. Billy and Graham are the founding members. And then there's Warren. Camilla does keyboard. Warren is a drummer. Who's Eddie? It says in the very beginning, like first time they introduce each person, it says what their band position is. So yeah, Warren is the drummer, and then it's just him for a bit, and Camilla is the wife of somebody. It says in the beginning, it's not a spoiler. Right now it's the end of 1969 and the beginning of 1970. And so Karen has joined on. There's also another guitar player. I don't remember who it is. But anyway, so I think I've got it kind of straight as to who's who. Yeah, I'm spent. I'm tired. I'm going to listen to it for a little bit. I am on 74 to 75. That's the chapter. I'm going to listen to it for just a few minutes, and I'm going to let myself fall asleep if I fall asleep. But now I think I have it. I understand who's who. Good morning. Like I said, I was going to finish Daisy Jones and the Six, and I did. I finished it yesterday afternoon. Could I have jumped in and done a video then? Yes. But what did I do instead? Instead, I started a new book. And yes, I already was reading something else. But I started The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. How to Free Yourself and Your Family from a Lifetime of Clutter. I got this idea from another book. If you know, you know. I don't want to give any spoilers or anything. So I was sitting and reading this. I am not far at all. It is a tiny little book. And then, of course, my husband and I are binging Game of Thrones. I think we have 2 episodes left, which we will do tonight. But we're not here for that. We're here for this. Daisy Jones and the Six. I really enjoyed it. I see what the hype is about. Does it live up to the hype? 90% maybe? 80% maybe? Something like that. Daisy Jones is an up-and-coming star, and the Six is an up-and-coming band, and they are put together, and it's not really a spoiler because it's, Daisy Jones and the Six. And we're following it. This is a interview that is taking place in like the early 2000s maybe. So they're recounting everything that's happening. So it's done in an interesting format, and I really liked it. When I was listening to it, most of the time they will say the person's, and the audiobook is phenomenal because each character in the book has its own narrator. So it's like listening to a play. So like on this page, it'll say Billy, and then he'll do his line, and then Warren, and he does his line, and then Billy, he does his line. So it didn't get old. I was kind of surprised with that. I thought that it would get old. Eventually, though, when it was like a conversation, they would stop dropping which name it was. So sometimes I didn't always know who was speaking because I wasn't reading along. But that's okay. There aren't any real surprises in it. I mean, it's a drug-filled, drink-filled, partying-filled rock band in the 70s. There's not really a lot of surprises what's going on. There's no big plot twists or reveals. There's one little reveal which I liked, but it wasn't like, oh wow, earth-shattering kind of a thing. It was like, oh, okay, that's cute. I think I'm ending on a 4. I almost gave it 4.25, but When I was listening to this, I did not want to stop. But when I did stop, I did not want to pick it up. And I think that has more to do with the fact that it's just not my interest. I don't really care about 1970s rock bands. Definitely worth a read. It is well written. I will give you that. I am now even more interested in reading other books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm glad I finally did it. It was a long journey to get here. I had it on multiple, actually I don't know how many TBRs I had it on, but I had the audiobook many, many, many times. Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning is about getting rid of your things. It's more than decluttering. It's kind of getting rid of things and assigning them to your children when you're an older adult. I have been wanting to do something like this probably for about 10 years now. I just want to get rid of stuff. I have stuff that was my mother's. I have stuff that was my grandmother's. I don't need all of this stuff and I want to get rid of it. And it's not just decluttering, it's really paring things down and saying, okay, which kid wants this and which kid wants that, and we'll set them aside, or if they don't want it at all, we'll get rid of it. That kind of thing. It's a very thin book. It does not even need to be this thick. There are a few, it took several pages to say the same thing over and over and over and over again. But you know, you can't have a 10-page book and get it published. At first it said to start with large things, and it sounded like they meant furniture kind of things. But then it said to start with the cupboard nearest your front door, and then it said to start with your clothes. So it's a little weird in that, but it's all right. I'm going to keep going with it. This morning, I have been listening to Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. I really should have, and I might still, look up, maybe there's a chart somewhere that somebody's done that will tell me who's who so I can remember. Like, I remember Elspeth's side of the family fairly well. But the King's side, I don't really, like all the characters, all the guards, I don't really remember any of that. And I don't remember the big ending, which is fine. I get what happened. I'm only a little bit further than last time. I'm on page 76-ish, 77, something like that. There's nothing in it that's going to keep me from continuing, so I will do that. Right now I am going off to a neighbor's house real quick, and then we are going to go off and do errands all day, so I won't be able to get to this. Hopefully I'll have a couple hours tonight before we start and finish Game of Thrones. So that's my update for now. Well, I had a productive morning. I actually finished 2 books. Now one of them is, very thin, but I did finish Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. I finished that this morning, which also finishes a series, takes something off of my series list, which is great because it grew. I'm not sure what to say about it. I was going to rate it a 3.5, and not because I didn't like it. Well, sort of. A lot of it was because I couldn't remember. Okay, in One Dark Window, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I loved the gothic feel. But what I don't understand is why don't I remember the ending? But that's okay, because it kind of covers. I definitely picked up what the ending was. I had a hard time remembering who was who in the castle side of things, like the Destriers. That's okay. I managed. And I remembered everybody on Elspeth's side. I remembered all of that. That was easy enough. So I can't rate it low because of what I don't remember. That's on me completely. But I did remember once this got going that I really, really, really don't like the rhymes that they have in here. Constant, absolutely constant little rhymes. And that's just annoying to me. That's just style different. So I put it down to a 3.75. It was still really good. It didn't have that same gothic-y feel. There was still a romance, which was nice. This was much more political, which is fine too. I like the politics of it. The first book was definitely better. I do recommend it. I thought it was good. I definitely think you should read them closer together. But yeah, there we go. It was only 6 months apart, which is why I like to do a series while I can continue reading them along. The other book I finished was The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. I'll stick with what I said about it before, is that it could be a 10-page pamphlet, really. The advice is good. There's a lot of storytelling. So like when she's talking about her dining room table and she's talking about the happy memories and the things that they used to do around the family table. And so when she was ready to get rid of the family dining table, none of the kids wanted it. So she was happy to sell it. Last minute, one of the kids wanted it. So, I mean, you have to fill the space. I understand that. So there were a lot of stories like that. It does get down to some particulars about what to get rid of and like how to deal with it, how to approach the topic with your parents, say, or your grandparents, how to offer up, like you can give things to friends, you can give things to family, but make sure that it goes to people who would actually want it and they don't feel obligated to take it, that kind of thing. Have a pile for giveaway, have a pile for family, have a pile for donate, have a pile to toss. Now that she has moved in to her own apartment, she has a box labeled private throwaway so that her family knows that they don't need to go through that box. They can just throw the whole thing away, which I think is also a really good idea. But you know, it is something that I want to do. There are actually many things in this curio that I want to get rid of and probably get rid of the curio. We'll see, but it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen probably this year, but I do want to start clearing things out and I'm glad I read this. I haven't decided what I want to rate it, but it's probably going to be about a 3.75. The Shadow of the Wind. I loved the writing. I just couldn't get through the lengthy exposition parts. I do recommend it. I think it is beautifully written, and if you can read faster than a snail, then it might be the book for you. It just wasn't the book for me, and that's fine. I'm glad I finally got to it. And then I went on a 3-day reading slump, and fortunately, because I always have way too many books on my Libby, I had books that I had to read, and I picked the shortest one, which was Starfish by Lisa Phipps. And I have a quote that I forgot to mention last time, but I loved this book. I loved both books by Lisa Phipps. Those are the only two that she's written that I know of, according to Goodreads. And she needs to write more books. They are both just so emotional and heartfelt, just well written, and they're in verse. They're very quick books. The quote is, "It's unknown how many students' lives have been saved by librarians welcoming loners at lunch." I think that is really, really true. I know that's true of the librarians that I know, and I think our librarians need to be treasured. I read Starfish, and it was I don't remember what my rating was. I didn't look that up. I also read A Long Way from Chicago by Richard Peck. Fabulous. I wish I had read that earlier. I wish my kids had read it. It was very fun and funny and silly. It's a little over the top, but that grandmother was a treasure. I definitely will continue with this. It's just a duology, so I'll definitely read the second book, which, I might pick up today. I'm going to the library. And then after those two books, which I read purely because they were due and they were quick and they would be easy, they got me out of my reading slump. I dove into Daisy Jones and the Six finally, and I get it. I really get it, why everybody is just ecstatic over this book. I love the format with the interview style. I listened to it. It had a full cast of narrators, which was amazing. I think I gave this a 4. I don't even remember. Yeah, I'm just really glad. I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep this, but I am for now. Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really get it. I get it now. That one is definitely worth most of the hype. And then Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, and The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, which sounds worse. And if you know, you know what book I got that from. So yeah, not bad. It was 10 days, really, but that's because I had my mini slump. So not bad. I did 5 books. I read 60% of that very big book. So, I did 10 and a half hours out of 18. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.